Now to Botswana, which is seeing its first change in government in almost 60 years. President Mokgweetsi of the ruling Botswana Democratic Party has conceded defeat after being roundly beaten in parliamentary elections this week.
Celebrations began after a surprise landslide victory for Botswana's main opposition party. And this man, Duma Boko, a human rights lawyer, is said to be the country's next president. The victory of his party, the Umbrella for Democratic Change, broke the ruling Botswana Democratic Party's 6-decade-long grip on power. In a country of some 2.6 million people, many have expressed frustration against the ruling elite.
I'm glad that we have a change in government. We were unhappy because of unemployment. Now we look forward to seeing what the new government will do for us.
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy how our elections went. All we wanted was change to a new government.
Botswana's incumbent president Mokgweetsi Masisi conceded defeat even before final results were announced. He assured a smooth transition of power in the coming days.
We will begin all administrative work to facilitate the transition, and I assure you that I will not take any actions to hinder or slow down this process.
The Harvard-educated attorney Duma Boko formed the UDC party in 2012 to unite the opposition to the BDP. It has pledged to adopt a bold economic strategy to create well-paying jobs, ensure fair wealth distribution, and empower every citizen. Now, after all these years, it's their chance to govern the diamond-rich Southern African nation.
Let's talk to journalist Kaletso Tobega, who joins us from Botswana's capital. Welcome to DW. How have people been reacting to the election result?
Oh, good evening, Phil. There's been a whole lot of excitement. Obviously, the change came as a shock for many people. I mean, we've been talking about regime change in Botswana for the past few years, but some people are like, no, it's unlikely to happen, especially because the Botswana Democratic Party was ruling for the past 58 years. But there's such great excitement on the streets. You know, people are celebrating. People are excited about this new change in Botswana.
And why did this change happen? Why did voters turn against the BDP after nearly 60 years?
Yes, you know, it's safe to say these were bread and butter elections. I mean, the economic situation in Botswana has been going down in the past few years. Unemployment is high. We've got social injustice. We've got issues of gender-based violence. Our education system and healthcare system are deteriorating. And that's very unlikely for a country that has, you know, known good governance for so many years. And there was a lot of infighting within the BDP, which actually affected their leadership. And it was people saying, you know what, let's try something else. You know, this is not like one of those angry votes, but something about change, something about giving other people a try because they've tried this leadership. BDP has been in power for so many years. So Botswana is saying, you know what, the opposition has promised us a fairer minimum wage, they promised equal wealth distribution. So let's give them a try and see what they have to offer.
OK, so minimum wage, wealth distribution. What else is the president-elect Duma Boko promising?
He's promising economic diversification. As you know, that Botswana has relied strongly on the diamond industry, but we've seen how diamond sales have been plummeting in the past few months, or maybe say years. So Duma Boko has promised to diversify the economy, to create more jobs, to ensure that skilled Botswana find employable means of earning a living. And he's also promised improved education system. Free education is there, but the quality of graduates in Botswana is not that good. So he's saying, you know what, I want to create an education system that will create a Botswana who's self-sufficient, who's entrepreneurial, who can effectively contribute to economic growth. And that's one of the things that dear to him, especially considering that most of the UDC supporters are young people. We saw a very high turnout of youth voters for the first time in the history of Botswana, and young people are actually living up the promise of hope of saying, you know what, you have potential, you are the leaders, you can do something for your country. Time that you stop sitting on the sidelines. It's time that you engage with us. And I think one thing that made Duma Boko very popular is the fact that he has promised a people-centered approach to leadership, where he listens to the people, where he engages to the people. And he's saying, I'm one of you. I grew up in poverty. I worked hard to be a lawyer, and I know that you have potential. I'm going to offer you the resources and vessel to live a better quality life.
Let's hope those promises come true. Thank you for guiding us through that. Kaletso Tobega in Gaborone.
Okay.
Our correspondent Diane Hawke has been monitoring events from neighbouring South Africa. She joins us from Johannesburg. Welcome, Diane. This is quite a moment in Botswana's history.
Absolutely, Phil. Quite a moment in Botswana's history, and I think something that many African states will also look at going forward. With the situation in Botswana, I think the BDP has been seen to be, dominant for so many years. Although its numbers have been decreasing over time, I don't think anyone could have anticipated such a significant loss. All three other parties did better in this election than the ruling party. For an incumbent governing party to lose at that level is quite significant. And it shows that the voters in Botswana were sending quite a clear message to the government that they felt that the government was simply not doing enough to address their everyday needs and social concerns that have been adding up over the past few years. Outside of Botswana, it's also something that will get other political leaders talking about what this means for their own governments, how voters might react in different elections now that they've seen that a party that has governed on the African continent can have this kind of a significant loss.
Yes, just tell us a bit more about some of the factors in this election that led to this reversal.
Definitely bread and butter issues, Phil. This election, a lot of Botswana spoke about how their living conditions have worsened over the past few years. Some of those issues could be attributed to external factors, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, which many countries are still struggling to recover from. But one of the key issues in Botswana has been that the economy is really not diversified. About 90% of the country's exports are diamond products. And with an economy that's heavily reliant on the diamond industry, when anything happens in that industry or people simply are not buying diamonds at that same level, it immediately has a massive impact. And that's what's been seen in Botswana. They're sitting with 27% unemployment, and at this stage, many people have also complained that they feel that there's a high level of corruption and a big disconnect with those in the BDP party and what ordinary Botswana are going through. And that is what led to this significant election outcome.
OK, thank you, Diane. Diane Hawke in Johannesburg.